Yeah, so good evening, everyone. So today we'll talk about roofs. So I'll share my screen now. So before going to Revit, so look at Canva here. Let me remove this. Okay, so week 7. So we have like after these 3 more classes. So we look at how to create roofs. Good evening, Madam Ronke. I can see you there. Welcome. So create the roofs, model the roofs, and then we'll show the 3 types that we'll use to create it, and then we'll show how to use the reference planes and extrude the roofs and how we can clean the roof and wall intersections. So we have 3 main ways to create the roof. We can draw it by the footprints, extrusion, or from mass. So we'll look at the first 2, footprint and extrusion. And then most of the material is from TU Delft. We have an online Revit program. So if we look at this website, you can see a lot, many more materials and guides to get you going with it. The idea of this class is to encourage you to start looking at it, and then you'll see a lot of materials online with Word and on YouTube too. So the material from Delft is here. We've talked about the 3 types. And then in the Revit interface, we have our properties, just basically telling us that when you click on the roof, it will show you the generic roof. You will choose the level you want the roof to be on. You can click if it will bound the room. And then you can also choose a base from offset level. That means we have a level we are referencing the roof to. We can add or subtract if we want it to be higher than that level or lower. And then there's a cutoff level. So do we want to cut the level at the roof at a particular line? So if you select none, I think those are more complex settings because I haven't used that before. So it says to modify an existing roof. Let me close this search. To modify an existing roof, we should select it and click either edit footprint or edit profile in the modify tabs. When we create a roof by footprint on profile, we specify a base or reference level to which the position of the roof is related. We can position the actual roof above or below that level, but still reference to that level by specifying a level of set value. And then we go to the roof by footprint, which is the first one. It says that it's done in plan view, and we draw outlines of the roof on the footprint. That means you have your plan, and your plan is like the footprint that we want to roof around, and we can make our roofs flat or sloped. And to make it slope, we can set the edges to be sloped, or we can use the slope arrow. So I'll show this when we get to Revit. So we have examples here. This is a flat roof, and then this is the sloped roof. So we can set it to get this output or these other outputs. It says that none of the edges are slope defining here, while in this right drawing, we have them slope defining. When we want to draw the footprints, we have this setting where if you check this box, it will slope, to make the line slope. Or if you don't, I'm hearing the sound, so let me mute somebody. So yeah, so if we want to show the slope, we have to check this box, define slope. And then when you select existing outlines of the footprint, you can either change whether they will be slope or straight. You know, in the design process, it's iterative, it's not one thing. So sometimes you want to switch between the flat on the slope roof, change your angle. So this is what's explaining that we can make it to define the slope or not. And then the slope is always perpendicular to the edge. So here, defines roof slope is checked, and it's giving a slope of 30 degrees. And then we see that the roof is sloped. And then here, they also have an offset from base. So you can actually set your slope to offset after a particular distance, which is what we have in this elevation. And then this property, the second one, we talked about using an arrow to make a slope. So instead of setting the slope by the edges, we can set it to slope all through the width of the plan. So if you draw the arrow this way to start sloping from that direction to the end of the floor plan, and you have something looking like this. And so when we use the slope arrow, the slope for the roof can go in any direction. You can use multiple slope arrows for a single roof. and each slope has its own properties. So we can specify where it will slope by setting the height at the tail or by using the slope, and you set the height offset where the slope should end. Okay, so you can control the slope arrow by setting the level and offset from the level, or both the head and tail of the slope arrow when specifying the properties is set to head at height at tail, or if you specify it to slope here too, you can specify with the degrees. So I think I'll stop here and then draw in the Revit and then come back to extrusion. So this is the first thing we see when we get to Revit, and then we go to new, and then select metric architectural template if we're drawing with millimeters and meters. And so, okay. And then we want to roof, so we put some walls and then we put the roof on top of it. So let's say we have a floor plan, maybe let's say it's the one room arrangement, a gatehouse or something. So here we have our two dialog boxes. We have the project browser and then the properties, so you can dock them together. So in this project browser, we said we'll have our level 1. So this comes automatically when you open a Revit. You see level 1 and level 2, and then you see ceiling plans, and then you see the elevation. So if we check out the elevations, we will immediately see that it's coming with a default height of 4 meters. So here we're focusing on roofing it, and then, so I won't change the setting here, but we can change this to any other height that we want. So I'll go to level 1. This is the lowest level now to draw the walls from. So we go to wall, we select the wall and go to properties. So for everything we select, the properties will show up here in the properties dialog box, and then we can edit the type of the wall to change the parameters. So for now, I'm using the default wall, and we can select different types of wall when we click on this arrow by the wall settings here. So if you scroll through, you see different types of wall, the basic wall, concrete wall with different settings, foundation, we have block, masonry. So I'm picking this generic 140 masonry. So once we select the type of wall we want, we can go to this modify tab and say we're drawing with a line or rectangle. So let's try to draw the one that we just saw that was kind of, I don't know, let's call it L shape or S. Okay, so we had it moving like this, and then so to always show you when it's straight with the blue lines. And so we have this shape that we had in the drawing, and so we see that all these walls are 8 meters height. We have the level at 4 meters, so I can select all these walls now. Select one, right click, and say select all instances in entire project, and I want them to be constrained. That means I want them to stop at level 2. So I'm setting it up to level 2 and apply. So if I go to the house, we can see what we have drawn here. So now we want to roof. The first type of roofing is roof by the footprint. So in order to do that, we'll go to this level where the walls are ending. That is level 2. And then put in the roof. So go to my project browser and then double click on level 2. So here I'll go to, we have architecture on, and then we go to roof, and then here if you click the arrow you can select, but if you just click on the roof it will pick the first one, which is still the roof by footprint. So once we do that, we need to pick the lines first, then come back and set. If we want define slope is checked, chain is checked, means it will keep drawing, and then offset means that we want the overhang. So let's say we're going to give it the 600 overhang, and so we can draw a line around it. So let me say I come here, I click, I'm going around the edges. Or if you want to be faster, you can use this pick tool to pick lines. So once I click on that pick lines, everywhere I click, it will give me that distance around the edge. And then we can close it up with this tool by selecting, because if it's not closed, it will not, you won't be able to use that green check. So once we do this now, and then we check this green box, if we come over to 3D, we see that we have the roof, and then below here, we can set how we see what we're looking at is a wireframe. Wireframe will let you see inside all the edges, the hidden line. We can see the roof as it was before, and then shaded, you see colors, shaded colors. Over here, consistent colors. And then the last one, realistic. So whatever material that we selected, it will show it in the realistic form of that material, so we can see the roof there. So, but most times we leave it in shaded or hidden line, because in the realistic, it takes more, makes it slower with the computer. So we leave it with hidden lines. So we have done the first type of roof, and we said when you have the roof in place, if we select our roof and say edit footprint, I can select, so let's say we're making it a flat roof. If I select this line and say take out the define slope, I come to this line, we remove define slope, and here remove the define slope. Let's see what it's going to give us. So if I check it, oops. So you see that there was a slope this way, so all of them went that way. So I'm going to do Control Z and then take this out, define slope, define slope. I'm taking all of them out now. Then we'll show the one with the angle. Okay, so once we do this now, we have that flat roof. So we end up with a flat roof, or the other one can be hipped roof. So the next thing we want to do is the extrusion. So if we want to look at the other side, we want to make a path entrance. When you click at these edges of this will help us to change what we're looking at in the 3D view. So if, let's say we want to make our entrance here, we want to define a canopy, so we can go for the roof by extrusion type. But let's go back and read what it says before we continue. So roof by extrusion, to make this kind of curved forms. So a roof by extrusion is created by drawing the cross section of the roof, and this profile is extruded perpendicular to the plane the cross section was drawn in. The roof cannot be sloped in the direction of the extrusion. So I'll stop here now for this. I'm going to another topic here. So here, so we want to make the roof by extrusion. So we'll go to a view that we are seeing this particular elevation. So if I go to level 2, so this is that elevation. We can right click here on the arrow and say go to elevation. Sorry, I'm not clicking wrong. So go to elevation view here. So while we're here, we can now go to the architectural roof and then click on the roof by extrusion. And then it will say the current work plane, we should pick a plane. So, okay, and we'll pick this face where we want to draw the roof. And then we have to select a level. So because the roof is at level 2, I can drop it lower. So you want to make it lower, say minus, let's say 600. Okay. So now we can draw in the line that we're going to extrude. So usually we can do something curved or straight. Let me make something like wavy. And then, so this will take on the property of the roof material, the settings that we have here. So if I check this box to draw it, to make the roof, and that roof will go with the width of the building. So it's running all through the building here to the last point, the last line. So we have to adjust it. And then to see it very well, let's make this wireframe. So what we can do is select it, we can drag it and then drag it out. So we know by how much that we want to make this roof. Here right now, we can see the beginning and the end into -8. So let me bring it out. And so right now the size is 4. So let me say I'm making it a 1/800 entrance. So I've applied it now and I want it to touch the wall here. So for it to touch the wall, we need to use align. We have the align tool. Want to align it, go to modify and click on align. So with this align tool, you select where you want the object to go before selecting that object. So if I click on align, I'll come and select the face of this wall. Then I'll select this other edge here. So to then join. So let me make this shaded so that we can see it properly. So shaded, we can see that the two of them are touching now. We have made the entrance of this place with the extrusion roof. So another thing that we talked about was the slope with arrow, right? So let me adjust this roof. So I'll go back to that level 2. If I select the roof, was already selected, and then we say edit footprint, and then we put this slope arrow, and then we draw the way we want it to. So this is the entrance. So let me say it's sloping this way, and then we can set the height. So right now it has a slope of 30 degrees. So I might say I want to use a height or the slope. If we selected the slope, we can change it to, because this is a very wide span. So let me make it like maybe 10 and then apply. Okay, so if I check it, cancel, I should have read that. So check, and then we read, it says the tail of the arrow must lie in the foot. Okay, so cancel and then take it. So it's telling me I must draw it to touch the edge. Okay, so check that. And then, so we see that this slope going this way is very high. Let me look at it in elevation to see what we have done here. So it's sloping in this direction. So Control Z, and then back to level 2. Let's turn this around. They're not crazy. So we look at the east. It's still sloping in this direction. So I can take it higher. So we have it on level 2. We can offset from that level 2 by, let me say, 2 meters. Apply. And then we can select all instances of this roof in the entire project. And then we can attach the top to the roof. So we see that we have something that looks like that. So the third thing that we want to look at, how do we make, like, join the roofs and then make a dormer roof. So for that, I will undo this last thing and then delete this one. And so we go to level 2 and then make back that hip roof. So here, go to the roof by footprint. And then I'm selecting the line before putting in the offsets. So here I'm going to use the pick lines and then click around it. We see that we have the slope, the triangles is telling us the angle. You can look here and see we have 30 degrees, the triangle is becoming smaller. So I'm zooming here. So that one use the inner line. So I'll undo it and then click on the outer and here. So join the edges. And then once we check the green mark, you see the roof. So once we finish, this is showing us that it's cutting the roof at this line. So you cannot really see the full plan, because the idea is you should be able to generate all your working drawings from the things we're making, from the views. So in order to see the full roof, we go to these properties. So the property that we're seeing here now is the property of this sheet of level 2, not of the building or the roof. So we'll go to the view range. And then here you will see top, cut, bottom. So this top means that's the maximum height of the camera here. The cut plane is like we're cutting across like a section through. So we see that the cut plane is at 1.2. So what it's telling us now is that as the roof is sloping, whenever it gets to 1.2, that's where it cuts it, and we're seeing this line. So we want to increase it so that we can see more of the roof. So in order to do that, we have to increase the top too, because the cuts cannot be higher than the top. It will give you an error. So I make it as high as possible. I'm making it 9, and then I can make this like maybe 7, and then I apply. So the roof is not as high as 7, so we can now see all the roof lines here. So what I wanted to do now was to make a roof that we can join to this, to show you how we can join those roofs. I want to make the roof more interesting. So I'm still going to make another roof. So create the roof, and then I'll use a rectangle so that we can make it. So once I draw this rectangle, I will then make these two sides, remove the slope from here. So if I select this line and then click on the define slope, and then select this other line, click on the define slope so that it will fall to the places that we have the slope lines. So do we want to offset it from the roof? So when I check it, I see that it's buried inside the roof. You want to make the bacon? So take the roof here, offset from the, so let's say we're taking it higher by, I'll use the 2 meters, apply, so that's still, so let's make it 3, apply. So in the 3D view, let's see this roof that we made now. So see it here. So now we want to join these two roofs. We go to modify, and then we have a tool here to join or unjoin roofs. So if we select it, it will give you a prompt, say select an edge at the end of the roof that you wish to join. So I'll select this edge here, and then it will say select the face on another roof or a wall to which you want the first roof to be joined. So I'll select this face here, and we see that it will join the two of them. So let's see, the last thing I want to show now is how we cut this roof. So let me make a section here so that we see that we want to cut the two roofs so that they will join properly. So in level 2, I'll make a section through this building by going to view. From view, we go to section, and then I can draw a section through this point. So right now, if I go to section, let's say go to the view, we can see that we have it, to look at the dark lines. We have the dark line of this roof, and then this roof is joining it. So I'll put a wall around, just like you would see the dormer roof, those have windows, but let's say at level 2, we want to place wall here. So create similar, and then I make sure the wall stays under this roof. So we have this wall. I'm saying it's showing above the roof. So we join it. So select the wall, shift, control. Shift is to remove and control is to add. So control, hold control down, and then you can add other selections. So first to attach the top to this wall, to this roof. So once we have attached the roof, we then, I'm hitting escape to stop here. And then we want to create the opening. So in order to do that in architecture, we have different types of openings. You can create opening for a shaft. Let's say you have a staircase, elevator, you can make that. So here we're using the dormer opening because it's the dormer kind of roof. So to get this going, I'll go back to my wireframe so I can see everything there. So when we click on dormer, it will say select a roof to be cut by the dormer opening. So I'm selecting this roof, and then pick edges, pick the roof edges. So I'm picking this roof, I'm picking the wall, and then this wall, and then this other wall. So what we need to do now is to join them. So get this and then join all the lines. So we always do not want lines to cross each other in Revit, so it will not, the command will not go through. So we have clean, closed edges, and then check. So now it's open, and to show how that works now, we go to the section. We can see that those bold lines, this is continuing to show the roof, show the slope. We have our wall and that setting. Yeah, so anybody have any question? Or comments, questions or comments? Yeah, so I've shown all the three types now, flats, and then this hip roof, and then the roof by extrusion. And then we also show how to cut through it. So if anybody has any comment or question, let me know. I wanted always to practice so that if I've done this now, and somebody else will share their screen and do it, but it's not working that way too. So let me know if you have any questions so that I can go back and do that again, and there's no problem. Look, can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so I'll stop here today and then I can share this recording.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Have a good evening.
You too.
Bye.